I so wish that I would have had this information, this knowledge, awareness, understanding 10, 15 years ago, because looking back, I would imagine that probably 70% of those things that I saw as kind of like dangling carrots out in front of me, my sacral response would have said, that's not for you, that's not the right timing, because I tried to force so many things into being. So if you feel like you're following your intuition and trying to make these things happen and do these things, then I offer this understanding up to you. Long before I ever heard the term human design, I knew about my intuition. I was just about to graduate chiropractic school at almost 30 years old. I had watched The Secret and What the Bleep Do We Know. I had been to a psychic or two. I had friends that had intuitive gifts, and I was very curious. Fast forward to moving down to Tennessee, I joined a chiropractic practice. I, out of desperation, began a moment-by-moment prayer that said, "Dear God, make me a channel of your healing works in this world. Guide my thoughts, my words, my actions. Tell me what to say, tell me what to do." I was introduced to Reiki and went all the way through Usui Reiki to master, the same with Shambhala. I learned tuning forks and EFT and all these other kinds of energy modalities, and I was, one, fascinated, and two, the dam on my intuition broke loose, and I started to hear intuitive responses to the answers to the questions that I was asking, which was kind of like a little crazy. But what happened with that is every time I asked a question regarding a patient or client or what was going on, I received the information, then I felt compelled to create courses and programs and structure and all of these things around it. And I felt like there was always this kind of pull from the other side on my energy grid, putting tasks out before me. And my thought process was, well, I received this intuitively, so it's mine to do. Now that led to burnout, which was kind of what opened the door to my willingness to experiment and follow my human design and see what would unfold. Because basically I had kind of checked out, right? I was living an intuitive life. I was trying to kind of live in other places and other dimensions and bring information forth to hear, and I had exhausted my resources. I had no battery left. I still had my own inner work and inner healing to move through, and it was just not working. So fast forward 2.5 years into this human design experience, I learned about the sacral response. As generators, we are here to wait to respond, and then our sacral motor energy tells us, yes, the energy is there to support you in this endeavor, or no, it is not. And so I was very curious regarding, is that intuition? Is that the only form of intuition? Is that different from what I was feeling and hearing and receiving all those years? How does it all work together? So that's what we're going to cover today. Welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Kate Flynn, the active deconditioner. So if you are hitting any stumbling blocks on your human design deconditioning and you would like to start resolving some of that not self stuff from the past, then reach out, because I would love to work with you. So if you've been following my work for a while, you know I have this theory that our bodies are like our spaceships, and our physical presence in this earthly reality is animated by two sources of consciousness, or two streams of consciousness. One that comes down into us from source, into our heart. The other that comes up from the center of the earth. They meet and merge in our hearts. We use this Merkaba and a rotation to send that energy out in all directions. So my understanding, as if this moment, I'll update you if it changes, is that intuition that doesn't come from your body comes solely through that stream of consciousness that comes from source. Now, if it's your spleen, or it's alerting you to life or death situations, if it is your sacral response, if it is these other parts of your body lighting up, then that is body-centered. If it's body-centered, that means it's happening at the intersection of those streams of consciousness. But if it's coming down into you from otherworldly realms that you don't necessarily have an awareness of, that is different than intuition that happens in your body, okay? So which one's relevant, which one's more valid? Well, they both are. I thought it was fun and exciting to receive these intuitive hits and ask this question and do this thing and create. And it was all wonderful. But what I know now is that all of those intuitive hits need to be back-checked by the presence or lack of presence of our sacral response, because that is the final authority. You either have the motor energy to respond and follow up on those intuitive awarenesses, or you don't. So if you like to play in those other worlds or other realms and you're trying to figure out what is true for you, always ask. And you can do that by writing down the intuitive awarenesses you receive in terms of tasks that you are given or things that you think or feel you are here to create or do. You write them down and then you read each one, and then you wait to see, where does your sacral open and respond, yeah, that's it, let's do that one. And where does it kind of shrink back and say, no, the energy is just not there to support that at this time. It doesn't mean that your sacral response will never be there to support it. It just means that motor energy isn't available to you now, in this moment. I so wish that I would have had this information, this knowledge, awareness, understanding 10, 15 years ago, because looking back, I would imagine that probably 70% of those things that I saw as kind of like dangling carrots out in front of me, my sacral response would have said, that's not for you, that's not the right timing, because I tried to force so many things into being. So if you feel like you're following your intuition and trying to make these things happen and do these things, then I offer this understanding up to you. Check it. Your sacral response will never lead you astray. I promise. It may lead you places you'd rather not have gone, but it will never lead you astray. A lot of this, is timing. So sometimes you have the information available, but not the response. And if you wait until those things intersect, then things become easy and you get to experience all that generator satisfaction you hear about. But if you try to push things and follow those intuitions without first checking in, then you're going to hit the wall and feel all the frustration that you may or may not already be so familiar with. Play around with this concept and these ideas and start double checking those light bulb moments, those directions, those intuitive hits that you get against your sacral response, and see what happens. After all, it is your experiment. It is not about me sitting here and telling you what is true. It's about me giving you information and you playing with it and you deciding what is true for you. That's all I have for today. Again, if you are resonating with the things I'm putting out and you would like some assistance in adding ease and grace and efficiency to your deconditioning process, you're ready to unbecome what you were never created to be, then click the link in the description to book a session. I'll see you in the next one.